Hey guys, thanks for checking out my videos. Verso here bringing you another Infinity Battle Report. Once again, I'm going to be playing Decapitation as I continue to practice and ramp up for Rumble on Route 66 in March. Shout out if you will be there. Definitely would love to hear from anybody that's going. It's one of the bigger events in the United States for the year, so probably plenty of people showing up who will hopefully have seen my minor content. This time we are going up against Tim and his Steel Phalanx. I've played against Tim a couple times before. Always enjoy playing up against Steel Phalanx because it's usually a pretty straightforward game. I would definitely say that they are an easy faction to play against. Not very many tricks. It's usually very obvious what's going on, and usually that thing is Achilles. But Tim has been playing with some other builds and things like that. Not the biggest fan of putting all eggs in one basket. I'm not a big fan of that either, which is one of the reasons I don't play that faction. So we're going to go ahead and see what happens in this one. I am playing the same list as I did last time, which, as I mentioned, is not meant specifically for Decapitation. There is a version with some minor changes for Firefight and Decapitation, but I'm just seeing if Decapitation actually requires me to play that other list, or if I can get away with my my primary list that's meant for some other more console missions and things like that. So we're continuing to figure that out. I also came up with, or not came up with, I've refined what I was doing in Decapitation a little bit more since I played it against Nomads in the previous video. So we're definitely kind of focusing in on bunker strategy. So I'm mostly going to be focusing on a flank of the board and a little bit on the center, which I think is good because it lets you stack all your arrows in one place so that you can use them mutually for the lieutenant and for the designated target. Just some things like that we're still figuring out. So let's go ahead and get into the game a little bit here. I win the lieutenant role, choose to go first. You should pretty much always choose to go first in Decapitation unless you're playing a big time ARO faction or something like that. The silver lining of being able to intelligently place your lieutenant and your designated target is not worth losing out on, being able to rush down your opponent and things like that. So that's the way we went. Tim, of course, had me deploy first and assign me my table side. So after measuring out my deployment zone and things like that, I found that there was a really good hiding spot for the designated target on my right-hand flank. So that's where we're going to be building our bunker. So we have the designated target right here, good old tag pilot. So there's really only two ways to get to him. One is going to be around here, which is probably going to be the primary way, and then the other one is going to be up through the middle and then coming around. For whatever reason, I forgot to take a picture of the table as per usual. There will be some pictures later that show the approach angles a little bit better, but the approaching on the extreme right to get to the designated target is much more likely. So to that end, we have a hodgepodge of stuff, tons of models here. So there's a triad with the Spitfire Gaurel, my Kumatail, and my one of my McCalls. We have another triad with Gaurel Sniper, Kael'tar, and then this guy who's standing in for a Kael'tar. And then last triad is going to be Kumail Forward Observer, regular Kumail, McCall. So everybody's bunkered up like I was talking about. Obviously, I have Rasail in the middle here. Her plan is pretty much just going to be to hang out for most of the game. If anything gets close, she can try to fight it off. But otherwise, she's just going to be hiding and sitting in suppressive fire with her massive wound count and being very difficult to kill. Her Chaxa goes over here just because I wanted something on that side to... another arrow if something were to come over there or something like that. And then I can also move the Chaxa up or out if I need to, if anything, should come over there. So pretty bunkered up on the right-hand side, as you can see there. And then I just, a couple models are placed very intentionally. So this Kumail and this Kael'tar are placed to be able to ARO down this alleyway. You always want to ARO where your opponent is going to approach from in Decapitation, because if you only get arrows by the time they can see the designated target, it's too late. They're just going to shoot it, probably going to kill it, and then they don't care what happens anymore. So you need to stop them before they can see the designated target, not as they see the designated target. Very very specific there. And then I have some other models that are looking down that same sight line, but they are attached to the Galrail Spitfire, who's probably going to be moving around and doing stuff, so they won't be there for too long. You can see in the middle here, I have the Corel Preceptor still being painted, so he's being proxied by a Coattail, his Certabeast, and then the first of 4 Chaxas. So typically when I'm deploying like this, I like to bunker up in one area of the board, and then I spread the Chaxas and other stuff that is mostly an ARO piece out, so that I don't get hurt by like a really good airborne deployment or something like that, and this time is no exception. Minor note about the terrain. So this building and this building we added because the table was way too open otherwise with this terrain set. And then we're playing these as if, so you cannot see through them, but you can see into them and out of them. So if something is in the footprint of the building, it can see out, it can be seen, but I cannot shoot through it to other things. And that was just something that me and Tim agreed on because the table was way too open and it was going to be a disaster. Over here on the left, we have the remaining 3 Chaxas, so you can see that I'm trying to put them in places where they have great sight lines for airborne deployment. The fact that they have heavy flamethrowers is just such a big deal because the template is so much bigger than a regular teardrop template that you can spread them out a little bit more and they cover a lot more ground. And very few drop troops will survive a heavy flamethrower ARO. So it can really cut down on where your opponent can go. And then just on top of the building, I have Aquarius Sentinel prone. I just wanted to take away one of the buildings as a drop point for any drop troops. This one has a ladder on it, so it's not too hard to drop on there and then climb down or something like that. Probably should have put him on the ground just because I don't think a lot of people like to drop airborne deployment on top of buildings as they tend to have shorter range guns, templates, shotguns, things like that are very popular. But it's not a huge mistake or anything like that. So we're going to go over to Tim's side. He has a couple proxies as well. So I forget what this lady's name is, Wolf Lady. She's pretending to be an EvoBot, so Evo hacking device. We have a net rod that landed here. Sorry, I didn't know the shadows were so harsh in this picture when I took it. So just stuck it here and passed the fizz roll. And then we have an Enematarkos fire team of Thrasymedes and his buddies. So we have a Führerbach in there. We have so the Führerbach is right here. We have a marksman rifle. This is going to be Thrasymedes, and then I think this is just a Deuter, so he's just hanging out. So that is kind of counter-deployed on my right-hand side across from where the bulk of my army is. Moving over into the middle, we have a Flash Rem, so just hanging out, doing some ARO stuff. Up in the corner here, we have another net rod, also stuck its landing, no scatters. And then we have Alki's Thorkite team, so 3 Thorkites here. I don't remember which one is which. I know there's an engineer and a doctor or a paramedic in there, but I don't remember which model was which specialist. And then you can see Alki there on the left, along with good old net rod just hanging out. And then this is Tim's designated target. So this is something where even though I did not choose table side, I ended up with the more advantaged table side for the mission because I was able to deploy my designated target far up the table as required, but get her in a nice alcove there, whereas Tim's is just kind of in the open. I can't see it from my side, but I can approach through here. I can approach around the far left flank, and then I can just see it down the middle of the table if I move forward with anything. So not ideal placement of the designated target. I don't really think there's that many good places he did have to place it. Maybe like around this corner or something. But even still, it's he didn't really have a great hiding place, and sadly that does kind of come into play very heavily in Decapitation, to the point where I'm considering, if I do win lieutenant roles, just not automatically taking first turn and measuring out the deployment zones, and if one is particularly advantaged as far as a hiding place for the designated target goes, that could be enough to incentivize me to be okay with going second. But in this game, that's neither here nor there. And then, so for my hold model, Liberto, as per normal, fantastic hold model in any faction, Tohaa no exception. So we have a mine here, which is just going to cover all the, the most likely approach angles. And then the Liberto is right here, ready to move out. He can go left or right, and just be very disruptive, which is his general goal. The hold model for Tim is another Flash Rem, which he placed, with Thrasymedes' team, but crucially not in cover. The reason for that is because when you're on the building, you don't have a very good line of fire. It's a little diagonal. So he wanted to be able to see clean down on the approach angle, but was giving up cover for that. Not something I agree with, but that is what ended up happening. All right, so we get into the game. Tim chooses to reduce my second combat group by 2 orders instead of my first combat group. Not an unreasonable play. I do have the Corel Preceptor in the second group, and I do rely on him pretty heavily on turn 1 because that's when I'm going to be doing the most of my smoke shooting with my 2 MSV2 models. So, just reducing orders on him could make it so that it's hard for me to get that smoke down, or I might not be able to get as much smoke as I want. So it's not like a misplay or anything. It's just a little weird because most people tend to take your orders from group 1 most of the time. That's where a lot of the heavy hitters tend to be. So looking at the table, I've made some deployment mistakes where I should have really bunkered up everything, and then I could have used an order here and an order there to move things out. But as I deployed, some models can be seen by stuff that Tim has already set up. So like the Kamel that was here, spoilers, could be seen by the Feuerbach. The Corel Preceptor could be seen by the Feuerbach. So a couple things like that where I'm going to have to break out of my own deployment zone. So after looking at it, I don't want to get into a smoke dodge face-to-face roll with the Corel Preceptor against the Feuerbach because it's not crazy likely that I win that one. He's 2 shots and would be on 15s, I think, whereas I would be 1 on 14, so not a good fight there. So I decide that I'm just going to have to suck it up, and the Kamel Triad gets an order. McCall takes over, moves over a little bit, and then throws an Eclipse Grenade for the Corel Preceptor so that he can move reasonably safely. The Kamel gets arrowed by the Feuerbach and dies to a hit mode. So unfortunately, she was a casualty of me just having to break out of my deployment zone after I was a little careless, even though I was going first. So we end up giving a couple orders to the Corel Preceptor. He moves up, has to leave the smoke, which is fine for him, but the Certabeast base is big enough that as it leaves the smoke, it's going to be seen by the Feuerbach, and I could not leave it behind because I would go greater than 8 inches away from it eventually. So I just decided to pull it out and basically sacrifice that as well, or hope for the best. Feuerbach takes it out, no problem with the explosive ammunition. So I'm down the Certabeast for nothing. So I've lost 2 models just trying to get out of my deployment and stuff like that. So not the best deployment for me, but in the end, I'm not losing anything that I absolutely need, which is a bit of a silver lining. So we get up here. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention data trackers. Corel Preceptor is my data tracker, as he usually is, just because of his 6'4" movement. And then Alki is Tim's data tracker, as well as his lieutenant. My lieutenant is, of course, the Rasail, since that's open information when you are playing in Decapitation. So go ahead and throw a smoke up here with the Corel just for my Gaurel friend here, after I'm able to get him up into relative safety and out of the area that I deployed him in. Looking at the table, I'm planning on taking the Gaurel out and dealing with the Flash Pulse remote that's in the center, but then I want to pull him over to the right and start getting into some face-to-face rolls with Thrasymedes' team and the Flash Pulse Rem there. So I use the irregular order on my Liberto and just move him up to here so that my Gaurel can take up the position he was previously at, get the cover and all that kind of fun stuff. I believe Tim just holds his arrows as I move up, but I just move, so nothing really happens of any consequence there. So yeah, sorry, I didn't get a ton of pictures on this on my first turn. So I managed to pull the Gaurel up, jump out to about here or so, and then shoot the Flash Rem. Put it unconscious 1 or 2. I don't remember. I don't think his engineer in the Alki and Matarko's team is going to run all the way over there and then go up on a building to fix it. So I just leave it alone because it's not a Flash Pulse bot. It's not as threatening. And then we move over here with the Gaurel, so you can see I took up the position that the Liberto previously occupied. Also repositioned the Corral just a little bit. You can see him here. And then just off camera, there's a smoke grenade like down here pretty much that the Gaurel is just towing into so that he can smoke shoot down here. So even though it won't net me anything on the first face-to-face roll against the Inimatarkos team, because they have 6th Sense level 2 for 4-man fire team, it will be useful later on, and it also helps against the remote. So we start things off, get into a face-to-face roll with the remote that was up here. I'm on 15s with 5 shots because fire team and it's not in cover. It tries to dodge, I believe. I believe both remotes tried to dodge instead of flash pulsing back, which I don't really agree with because they dodged at a -3 and I think they're physique 10, so they're on like a 7 or something. Crazy low odds that that's going to do anything, and other than like the 1 in 20 crit. Definitely would have flashed pulse back, even if it's just one shot. But that's just my what I would do. And then the Evo hacking device, or the Evo hacker, did not put up assisted fire or anything like that pre-game with a command token. So the one up over on this side did not have any additional burst or anything, and I managed to destroy it fully just with one order, which is always nice there. So we're just moving along, getting into some more face-to-face rolls. I decided to take on the Feuerbach because it's going to be at 0 range before I take on the Marksman Rifle, which has the same range bands as my Spitfire. So we go ahead and go at the Feuerbach, which is on 9s, 2 shots on 9s, because I have cover and it's in 0 band. I'm +-, so I'm on 12s, 5 shots to 2, very advantaged for me. Managed to just fully kill that guy. And then we just hold the same position, look at the Shock Marksman guy. He decides to try to dodge because he no longer has 6th Sense level 2 since it's only a 3-man fire team now, but isn't able to do so. Again, I'm on 12s for range and cover, and easily full kill that guy as well. So I pretty much blunted the Thrasymedes fire team. He's really the only threat left. I think the other Thorikite is just like a chain rifle guy or something like that. And then no more bonuses for them anymore. I've also managed to eliminate quite a few orders as well. So that's good, even though I lost some models foolishly on my turn. So this is just another shot of kind of how everything is developed on the side there. And then at this point, you can see the smoke template as well, a little bit behind the Gaurel on the left-hand side there. So at this point, I'm pretty low on orders. I've done a good amount of damage, 2 Rems down, fire team pretty much destroyed. So all I'm going to do is just, pull back to a safe position, not give Tim anything for free, and then just let him come to me. You can see the positions I'm taking here and all that kind of stuff. I leave the Gaurel sniper standing just because he's going to be a good ARO model if anything comes through like this alleyway. Or down along this side. My dog is freaking out because there's somebody not at my door. Anyways, so I'm just leaving him up as like an arrow piece because I know Tim likes to use drop troops and things like that, so I want as many eyes on the battlefield as I can get. Hey, knock it off, you. All right, so we go over to Steel Phalanx turn 1, and true to expectations, we start bringing in some Ectromi, whatever. So just a chain rifle, normal one comes in on the left-hand side here. I think it drops about here, not to be seen by the Chaxa, and then takes an so it drops in, takes an order to move up just shy of being able to see the Chaxa, and then takes another order to walk into close combat with it. I, of course, respond with the heavy flamethrower on the way in, since Chaxas are not meant for fighting, and I'm not going to use the pistol or anything like that. So we managed to just put each other unconscious, which is fine with me, because that's a favorable trade for my side in any case, because my models are only 10 points. So we have another Ectromo that comes in. I believe both of these were from Group 1, if I remember correctly. Again, just a chain rifle guy, so he drops in right about here. Nobody can see him. That's all fine. I'm okay with orders being used to move around and all that kind of stuff. So again, we use, I believe, an order to move up like just shy on the corner and then go around and get into close combat. Once again, I do the same thing, answer back with the heavy flamethrower. He stabs me, but this time go full dead, and the Ectromo is able to pass its arm roll. So I am eating up a lot of orders, but some of my airborne deployment defenses are going away as well. So a little bit of a give and take there. We have a third Ecdromo that is in Group 2, I believe. This is the Assault Hacker one. And after a lot of looking at positions and things like that, Tim decides to try to drop it in the exact position you can see here. Makes the roll. I'm sorry, before, and of course the Evo hacking device is helping with all of this stuff for the +3, so that's why a lot of these rolls are going off. Don't have any AROs to this guy except for with a Chaxa, so I just ARO with the pistol. I believe I'm -6 for cover and range, but I might be only -3 for cover. I can't remember how far away it was. But I managed to stick the shot on a 1, and then Tim fails the armor save, even with armor 5 or 6, or whatever Dromos have in cover against the pistol, and goes unconscious. So a little bit of a lucky break for me, but I think the plan with this guy was either to go up and try to assassinate the Gaurail, which I have shotgun coverage for, so I don't think that was a crazy likely plan, or probably to lean out and try to template some stuff down here. But I have like a flash pulse here, and to lean out I would get a shotgun and some other stuff, so the damage wouldn't be that crazy in either case. So I wasn't really that worried about either way, but lucky break for me being able to drop that guy with the old Chaxa pistol. Doesn't come in handy very often, but when it does, it's a lifesaver. All right, and then we go to the last and fourth Ecdromos, who has an HMG, so the business boy, and he comes down. He tries to come down like pretty much near this building, so like right around here or something like that, if I remember correctly, but fails the roll on like a 19 or something and scatters into the position you can see. So not a great position, but not a terrible one. It's not like a bunch of stuff can see him where he is. It's just a McCall. So after eyeballing it, I'm pretty sure that I'm not in heavy flamethrower range with the McCall. So instead I choose to dodge, going 4 inches with my kinematica. Another option would have been to smoke dodge, just to destroy all of the Ecdromos' line of fire, and then it would have to probably move a couple times to be able to see anything, but then it has an HMG, so it would be at really bad range for that. And then if it tries to go in and fight the McCall in the smoke, they're about equal in close combat, and McCall's a little better. So all that would have been fine for me, but I just try to dodge because this way I'll definitely be in heavy flamethrower range next time, and I might be in engage range if he tries to shoot the McCall or something. Crucially, though, I will be in Thrasymedes' line of fire if Thrasymedes is to stand up, and that's exactly what Tim decides to go ahead and do. So Thrasymedes gets an order, stands up, but I've placed myself in a way where I can see an arrow as he does so it's not that big of a deal. From here, we get into, I believe, 3 face-to-face rolls where Thrasymedes is shooting me with the light rocket launcher. I think he's on +0 or +3. I don't remember. I think it was +0. So 2 shots on 12s or 15s, where I just smoke dodge. So I'm burst 2 on 16s for +3 for physique. So I'm actually a bit advantaged here either way. So not the best fight. But what we do is we bounce on the first face-to-face roll, just roll 11s, I think. So nothing happens there. The second time, Thrasymedes gets 1 hit through, but I pass the arm roll. And then on the last one, he gets 2 hits through, and the McCall ends up burning to death. So it does die. It doesn't get to take out the Ecdromo, but it did use 3 orders to do so, which, again, I'm okay with because all I'm trying to do is just keep my bunker intact for this turn while I'm repelling all of these drop troops and things like that, and so far that's working. So you can see here that the McCall is no longer there. He did his job and died valiantly. And I believe that was pretty much the end of Tim's turn. All that happens is he's so low on orders after doing all this stuff that he just walks the Ecdromo into cover, but the HMG is not going to be in suppressive fire, which is a really big help to me. So on my turn, I believe I move the Quarry Sentinel and the Corral into Group 1 because I lost some Chaxas and some Kamail and all that kind of other stuff. So I'm a little low on orders on there, but I still have most of my my business models in that group, so I want to pump that up a little bit. So I decide to put an order on the Galrel sniper and move a little bit back with him. So I'm giving up cover, but I think that 3 shots versus 1 will both be plus minus for cover and range. Should be able to get it done. I have a Symbiont mate in case anything bad happens, but we're still just within 0 band, going as far back as I can on the building. And we both miss. Everybody misses everything. So I don't want to do that again because I'm giving up cover and I'm in 0 band. So it's not a very good fight for me. It's not as attractive as a fight. So instead, just give an order to the Corral. He moves up to get within 8 of the Ecdromo, and then shoots him with the submachine gun using AP mode, and manages to win that face-to-face roll. Again, we're both just no, I'm plus minus. He's just minus for cover because I'm in 0 band for a. Oh no, I'm in -3 band. That's right. Yeah, so it's really bad for him. I think he tried to use his pistol instead. But in any case, I win the face-to-face roll and managed to kill that guy. So no more HMG to worry about. You can see here the position I put the Galrail in at the bottom there. Just couldn't get far enough away to get the range I needed, but ended up working out in any case. And then there is the Ecdromo very dead, which is very good for me. So now I just need to get rid of the last Ecdromo that came down and killed my Chaxa, but hasn't been dealt with yet. So he's like pretty much here or something. I don't really have anybody who would be great at that job in the area. I could move the sniper, but it was probably going to take him like 2 moves to get exactly where I want him. I already have other plans for my group 1 orders. So instead I use the group 2 orders, move the Rasail out, get her out of suppressive, which she was in during my turn, and just try to have some face-to-face rolls with that Ecdromo. So I'm not close enough to be in good range, so I'm -3 overall because of range, but the Ecdromo is not in cover, and Tim just decides to dodge with it, just dodging backwards away from me. Manages to win the dodge on the first one, so he moves back. If he wins another dodge, maybe 2, he can round the building, which would be annoying. So I just put another order into the Rasail, move her up again, still just barely in -3 range, but actually roll a crit because of that. So the Ecdromo melts to the viral combi, and then I believe I just spend the rest of the group 2 orders moving the Rasail back into the bunker and putting her into suppressive fire again. Continuing with group 1 that the Crow is now in, there's not really anything ARO in the middle right now because I killed a lot of the Rems and things like that, and Thrasymedes, even though he is up, some of his line of fire is blocked by those weird buildings in the middle. So I'm able to walk without being seen by anybody, see the designated target, it tries to dodge, put 3 shock rounds into it and manage to put it down easily. So that's designated target kill with my data tracker to me. Remainder of the turn is just setting up again, getting back into my defensive position and stuff, so you can see the Rasail there, getting back into suppressive fire, going where she originally was, all that kind of fun stuff. I've developed her Chaxa a little bit more, just in case anybody gets any wild ideas on running up at me, and I don't really mind if the Chaxa dies or anything like that. It's not really, it doesn't have a real big job in this mission. And then just move the Corral back a little bit, so he's hiding. Remember that these buildings, you can't see through them totally, so somebody would have to either go into it or come around the flank to see him. Again, I don't really care if the Corral dies at this point. The smoke would be a little missed, but I've killed most of the high priority targets that I care about, and I've done his data tracker duties, so his job is pretty much done. Anything else that he does at this point is just extra. And then again, just some repositioning stuff. So the irregular order gets spent to move the camo token just up into a little bit better of a position. I considered going after the Evo bot, but I don't want to just yet. I would rather guard against maybe Thrasymedes climbing down or something like that. And then I have the Galrail up there, so he's not going to be in cover. But again, I'm at this point I've reduced Tim's order pool by quite a bit. All the Ecdromo are dead. One of the fire teams is in shambles. Most of the Rems are dead, that kind of stuff. So I'm okay with giving him things in order to just get orders out of his pool, just waste them, because, Galrail still has a Symbiont mate, still has 2 wounds. It's going to take a little bit to put him down. And anything that's spent doing that is not spent going after my designated target. So we go over to Steel Phalanx turn 2, and it's time for Alki and friends to start moving out. So I don't really have anybody arrowing where they're coming from because of the buildings in the middle again, so they can kind of move out as they choose. Oddly enough, so the Alki and everybody swings out around here, as you can see, and then Alki makes a cautious move, as does her fire team, to get into the position in the picture, just so that she will not provoke an ARO from the camo token. I'm just going to chalk that one up to game experience. I'd used an irregular order on it twice, so most people would probably figure it's not anything that dangerous, even if you don't know that the only thing that it can possibly be in my faction is a Liberto Mine Layer. So slows her down a little bit. I don't do anything with any of my arrows, even if I could take them, because all I have is a light shotgun, a chain rifle or chain colt. But managed to slow them down a little bit just by virtue of existing. So Alki gets into position, and then the Thorakites kind of follow after seeing that maybe the camo token isn't so dangerous after all. Alki tries to get into a face-to-face with the Corel Preceptor. I smoke dodge, managed to crit the smoke dodge. So even though I'm way disadvantaged in that fight, I managed to get that done. So you can see the smoke wedge there. And that's pretty much going to cut off all of Alki's line of fire as well to, my Galrel sniper or anything like that. So that's definitely quite a big problem for her, even if she was to move forward. So Tim, being super low on orders at this point, just decides to spend the lieutenant order, break her out of the fire team, which they will not be able to recombine the fire team because he has no more command tokens. I believe. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention at the start of his turn, pretty much everything got moved into one combat group. I think the only thing that's not in that combat group is the Evo Rem. So in any case, all the command tokens are gone, so they won't be able to reforge that Enematarkos or anything like that. And then just uses the lieutenant order to throw Alki into suppressive fire. Oh, yep, this is still Steel Phalanx turn 2. So Thrasmides wants to fight the Galrail a little bit, so he moves over to this position that you can see him at, shoots me with the rocket launcher. I don't remember the exact ranges and all that kind of good stuff, but I again managed to, I think I just win the face-to-face roll, even though I only have one shot at this point because I'm not in a triad anymore. I'm just in a duo. So it's like 2 dice versus 1. We're on very similar numbers, but I roll like a 7 or something, and the best Tim gets is a 5. And then Thrasmides goes unconscious from the Spitfire. So adding a little bit of insult to injury there with losing a model on his own turn, and especially one of his few remaining models that actually is of some importance. Yep, this is just the suppressive fire on Alki, so you can see that. All right, so we're going into Tohaa turn 3 now. All I really need to do is keep my designated target safe, but if I can make a run on Alki, I want to do that as well, just because I'm trying to get all those points. So after looking for a little bit, I decided to do a coordinated order with my Chaxa, who's left alive in the area, and the Corel Preceptor, naming him as the spearhead. And then they both just move to be able to see Alki, and then she decides to split burst, so 2 into each of them. And then they both shoot her, of course. So that's what I was hoping for, is either that she would dodge and break suppressive to get rid of the flamethrower, in which case I have a good chance to hit her with the submachine gun, or she's going to stay in suppressive fire and just eat the flamethrower, which is what happened. So in the end, my Corel loses the face-to-face roll and takes a wound, so he goes Symbiont inactive. And then the Chaxa also takes a wound, but the flamethrower manages to do a wound to Alki, putting her unconscious. So that's going to be a lieutenant kill for me, although there is still a paramedic Thorakite around that I'm going to have to worry about bringing her back. So switching over to group 2, I start giving some orders to the Quarry Sentinel, just moving him around from where he was. All the Thorakites discover him as he goes, and one of them manages to, but I just keep moving, so I don't get to surprise attack or anything, but I don't really need to. And then I managed to get to like this position, shoot the the EvoBot with the light shotgun, put it unconscious because it doesn't have a gun to fight back with or anything, and then move into this position, shoot the EvoBot again with the light shotgun. This time the template is going to hit the net rod that was behind it and manage to fully destroy both of them. So just getting rid of some more orders there, really putting the hurt on Tim's order pool for next turn. Here, I'm, again, we're just trying to bunker up as much as we can. So I stand up the Kael'tar because she has a flash pulse. I stand up make sure the Gaurel sniper is pointed correctly. The Gaurel Spitfire comes around the side here just to guard against this way because the Liberto and his mine are still guarding the other side, which just has like one Thorkite or whatever that guy is, who's probably not going to get very much done. Hey, calm down, you. Sorry, my dog is very irritable. Oh, and that's actually the last picture of the game. So all I really did is put the Krail into suppressive fire after walking up. So I walk up and shoot Alki's corpse, managed to fully kill her, and then I just go into suppressive fire somewhere near the remaining Thorkites, and then pretty much end my turn there. Tim is working with, I think, 5 orders. He has a net rod and like 4 Thorkites left, so very little. Just flanks around with one of the Thorkites, shoots the Krail in the back a couple times, manages to kill it, which is fine. Again, just wasting orders, and then brings up the same Thorkite, I don't even remember which one it was, to like about this position where it can be seen by the Gaurel. We get into a face-to-face roll where I think I'm plus minus, and he's like minus or something like that. Easily put down the Thorkite. And at that point, I believe he only had 1 order left. So no chance of, gaining my lieutenant, no chance of gaining my designated target. And then we call the game there. So that ends up being a 10-0 win for Tohaa. I get, my designated target kill with data tracker. I got more army points killed. And then I got more lieutenants with 1-0. So grabbed all the scoring for that. Ended up being a pretty interesting game. Again, the score looks really one-sided. Again, I will go into the post-game video discussing why why the game went so awry for Tim. This one was a little bit easier to figure out than the last game against Nomads that I had. I could kind of tell during the game what was happening. So go ahead and check that out if you'd like me to break that down a little bit more. And go into some details on that, things that were mistakes, things that could be fixed on both sides. That's where I learn a lot, and that's one of the big reasons I do these battle reports. But otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed that one. Sorry to have 2 games that were a little more one-sided. That's just the way the dice fell this time around. I'm sure I'm quite due for a nice face kicking pretty soon. I've been trying to get games in against my local, a little bit more active tournament players, but we just have, a regular Infinity night, and often by the time I show up, most people have already paired off. So I'm stuck with, playing whoever's free, whether, no matter who that is. And then I try to get games in during the week, but it's spotty on when people can play, on the weekends and things like that. So try to bring you guys some more competitive games, I guess, not in terms of, not saying people I played against were bad players. It's just, maybe more back and forth game or something like that is certainly something that I like to watch. But that's all I have for this time. So thanks for checking it out, and I will see you next time.